Hey guys, my name is Donnie and welcome to my workshop. And in today's video, I'm not going to be working on the Jaguar, but instead I want to show you guys what my next project's going to be, or the one that I'm going to be doing in conjunction with this Jaguar. But it is on the other side of my workshop. So follow me and I'll show you what it looks like. Ta-da! Guys, this is going to be my latest project. This is going to become a motorhome, or a camper, or an expedition vehicle, or a schoolie, or an overlander, whatever you want to call it. But first I want to give you some background, or just a little bit of a story of how this came to be. A couple of years back we were riding in the mountains with some bicycles, and we came across the most beautiful little short school bus, old school bus that was in the mountainside, and it just caught our attention. And after speaking with the owner and the farmer, we procured that little bus and brought it back to my dad's farm. And we decided very soon after we got it that we wanted to make a schoolie out of it, or a motorhome, or something that we could ride around with and enjoy as a holiday vehicle. The first thing that we did then was to take out the old suspension and chassis and so on. And we decided that we were gonna replace the engine and chassis and suspension and everything, drivetrain, with something newer. And then we started looking for a more modern donor vehicle to put underneath the bus, and that is when we came across this Iveco. And what makes it very nice is that this is a late model, a 6th generation Iveco, and the only thing that happened to this one is that it got hit on the side of the cab. So the cab is completely ruined, but the chassis and the engine and drivetrain and everything has got extremely low mileage on it. So it's going to be the perfect donor for that bus. But as it is, the whole concept and idea evolved into something that is way more complicated and larger than this little school bus was. So at the end of the day, we unfortunately did decide that we're not going to be using the school bus anymore, and we're going to be building a whole new motorhome completely from scratch, with more lighter weight material, modern material that's going to make it lightweight. And also we wanted to make the sides be able to move outwards, in other words, put some slide outs on both sides, and in that way gain as much room as we possibly could inside the vehicle. And this thing is going to be super modern, so we're going to be using solar on the roof, and everything's just going to be automated and look spectacular. So we're still going to be using the old school bus at some point. It's probably going to become a vehicle transport or something. I've still got some nice dreams for that one, but this project is going to be a completely scratch built motorhome that I'm going to be building in the shop from the bottom up. So we're just using this chassis and the drivetrain and so on. We're going to build a whole motorhome from scratch and then do the interior and so on. But anyways guys, enough talking. The first thing that I need to do now is to take out everything that's inside the cab, because they did start taking the cab apart, the previous owners, so that they could then take the cab off and replace it with a new one. So everything's been stripped down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything out of the cab, and then I'm going to try and get the engine started. And how I'm going to do that is by reinstalling all of the wiring and so on, and then trying to get the engine started. And if I can do that, then I know that that part of my project is sorted, and then I can focus on taking off the cab, and then I can use this as a awesome donor for my project. Anyway guys, let's see if I can get this thing started. So guys, now that I've taken everything out of this cab, you can clearly see how this cab got completely ruined because of the impact it got from that side. So this cab will never work again. But I just want to take a second to appreciate exactly how much, or just how much stuff goes into a cab like this. I mean, those boxes are completely full. They were nicely packaged for me, and there's some electricals on the table, and there's just so much stuff that goes into a cab like that. And even the main harness and everything that's over here that I need to now connect to the engine to get it to run. So man, that's a lot of stuff. But in any case, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this center console piece on the table and try and reach and see if I can get all of these wires and plugs and so on connected to the engine, and also connected to the dashboard and the computer and so on, and see if I can get this thing started. I'm a little bit apprehensive because there is a lot of wires, and I don't know if everything needs to be connected or what needs to be connected to get this engine to run. But if I can get that sorted, I'll be a very happy camper. So let's give it a go. Okay guys, I've changed my mind. Instead of me putting this onto a table and trying to reach all the wires, I'm gonna rather take this whole console piece and fix it back into this cab, because then I'll be sure that things like the wires and the harnesses and everything will be the correct length, and I won't have to struggle to make everything fit. So I'm going to put that back into the cab temporarily and then see if I can get it started. Cool guys, there we go. It started up with just a little bit of hassle. I was very much apprehensive because there are so many wires that I had to connect to get this thing to start, and I was very much worried that I wasn't going to be able to connect everything so that it'll start. But I got everything sorted eventually, and it started up straight away. I wasn't able to drive it or anything because the clutch cable and so on, the hydraulic clutch has been disconnected and so on, but that's not a problem. At least I know now that the engine starts and everything is fine. And what I've done now is I've marked all of these wires, because there are some of them that can be interconnected and interchanged. So I marked them up and made sure that next time I'm going to assemble everything, it'll start up straight away. So what I can do now is I can once again remove all of this wiring, and I'm going to attempt to take this whole cab off of the chassis so that I can do some final measurements there, and then we can start working on how I'm going to be making the structure for a new van. So let's go. Alrighty guys, there we go. I've taken the whole cab off. That's what the cab looks like. Now you can see the damage there on the side. And now I can start doing some measurements and start designing my dream motorhome. So instead of using a Generation 6 or a Vico cab, I'm going to be building a whole vehicle right from the back all the way to the front, and I'm going to design my own front, and I'm going to use different glass and so on, so that this vehicle will look completely different to anything that you've ever seen before. And one of the major changes that we're going to be doing to gain some more space inside the vehicle is we're going to be shifting the driver and the passenger's seating position forward, making this a overcab setup. In other words, the driver and the passenger is going to sit on top of the front wheels instead of sitting there at the back. And the only thing that is a drawback with that arrangement, as far as I know, is that the driver and passenger will be sitting a little bit higher than they usually would, and there would be a part of a engine in between the driver and passenger. But we're just going to make a beautiful cover there, or a tunnel that's going to cover all of that, so the whole passenger driver's seating position is coming forward, and that's going to gain us a lot of extra access in the back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I've already started designing something using SketchUp and CAD, and I'm going to show you guys that, and I'm also going to post some of those pictures on Instagram, and I hope that maybe you guys can give me some feedback and some input, because I really want to build the most beautiful or the most awesomest motorhome that you've ever seen. Another thing that's going to happen is we're going to have some slide outs on both sides, and it's going to probably be the whole length of the vehicle sliding out as far as we possibly can to access even more space, or to gain even more space on the inside of this vehicle. But in any case guys, that's a lot of progress for 1 week, so I'm going to leave you there, and then next week we're going to continue with probably making the floor out of aluminium, or the front piece, or so on. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.